Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It has been about 2 weeks since the end of the World Cup, a World Cup that gave us good football, very bad football, games that made us want to stay up till 2 a.m., games that put us to sleep at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, lots of controversy, lots of stuff off the pitch, but overall, a very, very good tournament. Exactly what you expect from the biggest tournament in the world, not just for sport, but just for entertainment in a whole. And we have so much to get into to break it down from the tactics, the people involved, the players, and even what comes after the World Cup, which we usually see a ton of big transfers, players moving around. So lots to discuss, and I'm looking forward to the conversation today with my ever present co-host Fraka and SP. So I want to get right into it. So first of all, I just wanted to start with. I don't think we'll have time to go through the entire tournament, but I want us to just start looking from the semifinals and the finals. Let's start first with the France-Spain game. We saw France dominate through the group stages. They found a bit difficult in the early knockouts. The Paraguay game was a bit difficult for them, but we could have attributed that to the weather. But overall, a very, very good attacking force that we expected. A lot of people expected them to be the eventual winner, like myself. And then they just could not get going against Spain. What were your overall thoughts on the France Spain semifinal?
Um, Not too much of a surprise versus like what everyone expected. Playing against Spain is a very, very difficult thing. Because you're not going to get on the ball. And for a team like France that usually likes to dominate the ball, to create the chances, I don't think it was a surprise that Spain was the winner, given how the tournament progressed and how Spain was playing. What was surprising is the way in the manner in which they dominated the entire game. Like it was like literally like just like a basically like a scrimmage for them, and like they were picking and choosing when to go, how to go. France could not maintain proper possession, not even 5 passes made. So I think like it was like one of those games where like Spain knew that they were going to be the better team in possession, and they just had to take the chances when they got there.
SP Fraga said it wasn't really a surprise, but we saw Spain find some difficult games during the tournament. We can think about the Cape Verde game. We can even think about the Uruguay game. Was not, I mean, Uruguay didn't impress, but they still put up, a decent fight against them. Even the Belgium game, with the only goal that they conceded in the tournament, but it was not a walkover. I thought that France game was just completely outclassing the French team. We just looked miles about everyone. So what really went right for Spain or wrong for France in that game?
No, you said it. They were just outclassed. I think France will be too dependent on their star players, Dembele, Mbappe, and when these players didn't show up, France just didn't show up. Because if not them, then who?
Mm.
Spain has a different dynamic. Spain is more or less like you don't know for sure where a goal is coming from. So that's what makes them all that more dangerous and unpredictable. Because we know Spain will come to keep the ball. Spain will, knock it around for a long period of time. But Spain also they get players into the box. Their wing backs, their forwards, their midfielders, everyone is involved. As per France, you find if certain players are not involved, France doesn't like they don't click. And I think Spain did a good job of taking these players away. And Spain knew if these players didn't have an impact, then France wouldn't be able to play their usual game. Because France has by far the strongest attacking team. But if you neutralize that attack, France really has nothing else, do it? So yeah, so that's really what happened for France versus Spain.
Yeah, I think when I look at it, I look at the Spanish side and I look at some very good players, but then you look at the star power of the France, and you still thought that um, they would have found a way to get those players involved. Even in the game, and I know it's not a good metric or a good yardstick to measure them by, but you look at the third place game and the way that they were able to come off a very poor first half where it looked like they were so uninterested, and they probably were. to imposing themselves a bit on the game. And that's kind of what I was expecting from them. It's an individual quality, but they couldn't even get the ball to those players. So does it look like for you? We saw France win the World Cup obviously in 2018, got to the final in 2022, and then now a semi-final berth again for them in 2026. Does it feel like the end of an era, especially with Deschamps stepping down, Zizou coming in, or do you think it's a rebirth for them in terms of European football, world football? Or is Spain just looking right now too hot to handle for any European team? What do you think, Fraka?
Well, for now, I think Spain has showed us that they're the cream of the crop when it comes to their identity and the way that they want to play and the way that they try to play. Uh, we're forgetting that Spain is, I think the average age is like what, 27 or 20.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
young squad, very young squad. Lots of
So,
teenagers in
so,
there.
and that team is going to be together for hopefully for the next what, two tournaments, which is the Euros
Yeah.
and the other World Cup, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of teams have a lot of catching up to do tactically. Talent wise, we know France has the talent. With Zidane coming in for France, I don't know if he's going to stick to the Deschamps model or he really have enough time to impose his style of play onto the team because Zidane is more of I think he's going to probably go back to what he had at Real Madrid with the two holding midfielders and a pure 10 to see and then try to get the best out of his attack. That is something that we need to also take in consideration. Um, I think France they can be back in a
Mhm.
semi-final or a final. It's just given the talent that they have. But now chasing a coach, that might be a different dynamic for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, you think they might need some time to kind of warm up to it. SB, you know national team football very well. Having represented Saint Lucia many times, and you know how the cycles work. You don't get lots of time if you're a national team. You meet. I mean, they'll have an international break in September, October, November, and then they're away from each other until March, and that's kind of the amount of time that you get. How long till you see maybe the France that we saw in 2022 or even the France that we seen earlier in this World Cup? Or again, the same question, do you think that Spain has just gone beyond with what we saw? Especially they got stronger as the tournament came along, but do you think they've just gone way past France now in terms of coaching style, in terms of personnel, in terms of everything?
Not exactly. I think Spain has the upper hand in every manager Spain has come in and has implemented kind of the same system with one or two tweaks. So you find that anyone you bring in, there's not much work to be done because everyone is already on the same page. With France, it's a bit different because their players are a bit different, not just in being star players, but their style of play. Um, I don't think Spain has an Mbappe type of player. I don't think Spain has a Dembele type of player. All right, because in France, there's no style of football. So the French league isn't known for a style of football. The English league is known for a style of football.
Very
The
true, yeah.
Spanish league is known for a style of football, right? Which is possession football. So you find that Spain's FA are doing a pretty good job in bringing in coaches that can implement that same system with a bit of a tweak. All right, from Del Bosque to all the coaches that have been there, they come in and implement the same system. So I think that's what sets them apart. And I don't think France has anything to worry about. All right. It's just that they need to find a balance. The same balance that Spain has, they need to find that balance and not be as dependent on one or two players and just be dependent on the entire team because the France that won the World Cup, remember, everybody was on the same wavelength. Everyone
Yeah.
was, clicking. You find out in that France team, there's a bit of a disconnect,
Power
right?
struggle.
Right between the midfield and the forward. As much as they will beat like smaller teams, but when they get teams that are tactically sound, Spain, England just to the foot of the gas. But I think
Yeah.
when France gets teams that are very tactically sound, they struggle because
Yeah.
the star players don't put any work, and
Yeah.
that's what I think. There was a point where Dembele got into something with Mbappe, and they was telling him, "You gotta,
Yeah, the work off the ball. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just very interesting. Like, it's like I said, it's been a couple of weeks since the final, but I still sometimes find it difficult to, not that Spain didn't play good, but you look at Spain's results ever since they won the World Cup in 2010. And you look at in Brazil, I think it was a group stage exit for them. In 2018 in Russia, it was a round of 16 exit. In 2022 in Qatar, it was a round of 16 exit against Morocco, was the quarterfinal exit, one of them. But not as, and again, you've said like all the managers who have come in for Spain have had, basically all the players have known that they play in this position style of football. Never had really a star with tons of speed and creativity on its own. And they haven't found success. And then this year everything just seems to click. And I find it difficult trying to wrap my head around why this year of all years, when they've had good players before, and they couldn't find success with the same style of play essentially.
Well,
And why we think that is.
you have to take into account that the Spain national team coach, he came up through the youth ranks of the team. He was the under 17 coach, won a championship. I think the under 19, under 21 won a championship. I think when he graduated to the Olympic team, I think he placed second. I think he lost to, or did Spain win? Did Spain beat France in the
No,
other
Spain
way?
won and France placed second. Yeah.
All right, so then he was a coach at that time too for the Olympics. So he won the Olympic gold medal, and then he got promoted to the national team coach, and there you go. And then he brought these players that he has, and he's familiar with the players that are playing for him, the Danny Olmos and the Yamins, and the
Yeah.
Pedri. He would have loved to have Fermin Lopez, but man, he got injured. But he is very, very familiar with the crop of players that he currently has in the senior team.
Mm.
Those are basically his players. So we have to take that into account. It didn't just happen overnight. It was a process, and then it worked out for him.
Yeah. Fair. Okay, I wanna put the Spain and France semi-final on a side now and go into the more controversial semi-final that we had. We saw it was a fantastic game. For if you're a neutral, I think you enjoyed it a lot more than if you're an English fan, or even people who are not necessarily an English fan but an anti-Argentina fan, which I know some of you in here were. It was a painstaking game for you because you couldn't believe the capitulation at the end. But what what do you think led? Like we spoke about it before that we got on the show, but we saw a team go up 1-0. And from me, at least from my vantage point, it was a pretty cagey game. Both teams were feeling each other out. No one asserted true dominance like how you saw Spain against France. What did you really like? Do we now, after a few weeks have settled down, do we think that the changes is what really did it for England in that semi-final?
We can play that game over 1,000 times.
Yeah,
My
sure.
mind will not change. That was probably one of the worst tactical games I've seen from a national team coach.
Mhm.
As from going up 1-0. Listen, he went up 1-0. I think his second substitution was a Declan Rice, right?
Who in his defense was didn't train the days before, had I think it was a stomach
So
bug or something or
so
whatever.
why is he starting in a semi-final game against Argentina if he's not feeling well?
Okay, but you have, I'll let you make your point after this, but you
Yeah.
you have
So
one of your best players who had a great season, and you have him at, you would you take him at 50% or another player at his 100 when you know that's your
I'm taking
regular
you take the 100. You have to take the 100. That's like telling me you're gonna put an injured Alvarez to start a game at Arsenal, knowing that you're gonna take him off after 45 minutes.
fair.
That's
I'll
what
let you make
feeling
your
is.
point. I'll let you make your point, but I'll
So
I'll, I'll
yeah,
rebut after.
all right. So my thing about that, all right.
Mhm.
Then yes, the game was cagey. Yes, it was a tight and tense affair. At that point of 1-0, there's no reason for a coach in his right mind to say, I'm going to go defensive against a Messi-led Argentina with more than 30 minutes left to go in the game, knowing that your defense is suspect, one, right? And they were already getting the better of Argentina in the final third. It's just that they were making some errant passes. Had they continued to play the game the way that they were playing, I do not think that Argentina comes back and wins that game.
SB, you have played in a lot of high pressure games and high pressure environments. You're talking about blackout finals. We know the way the Lucian crowd is. You're talking about playing away to Canada at BMO Field. We're talking about some other just top games against top opposition and having to manage those games. We've seen there was a stat that I mentioned to you guys, and it was after the substitution of Anthony Gordon. Between that substitution and Argentina's first goal, which came in, I believe, the 85th minute, England completed only 2 passes. Can we say that? Can we say that one, this was a coaching mistake, another player mistake, and two, what do you think, with all that experience that you've had, is the best way to see out a game when you're winning 1-0 in a semi-final like that?
First of all, I blame the English media. I blame the coach. I blame England.
Everybody.
Feeling like they're the kings of set pieces, and just because they have tall players and they play like a long style of football, I blame all of that. Because you
Yeah.
can't tell me you have a group of players that play at the top level for top clubs, right? And you have a manager who has managed some of the biggest clubs in the world, just like me, who's been in places where it's high pressure. Tuchel has been in some of the
A Champions League final.
highest of games. And I feel like Tuchel, that just reminded me of the Arsenal game where they played against Atletico Madrid. And Atletico, you could have seen that they were able to actually play, and they just chose not to and sit back cowardly. That was and you can't really blame the players so much, because at that level of football, is the coaches getting fired, not the players. So the players have to do what the coach say. But at the end of the day, my brother in Christ, oh my goodness, you cannot score a goal and you want to go and defend from the 60th minute against a team that the entire planet see come back from being down. Not once, not twice, in 2 consecutive games. So your mind is telling you, okay, boy, maybe them and Abel Zeze going for them, or, them and Mother praying for them, so let's not do that. Like you already said, before that goal, there was no better team. It was half and half. The stats were half and half, the shots were half and half, everything was half and half, right? And as soon as you score, like, I trying to figure out, and what killing me more about that, Tuchel came out and said, oh, he defending his decision, and that's the best game his players ever played. Brother, you lying, and you wouldn't stop it.
You have to say it though, as a manager. You have to say
because bro, I cannot be the only person thinking that way. And I'm telling you, I'm not only saying that as a footballer, right? I'm saying that as a football fan, right? That's not acceptable. And it's not like that's a small team, like, let's say, an Ecuador, who have never been in that
relax on Ecuador.
Ecuador, Paraguay, who's never been in that sort of position where they're up 1-0 and they can go to the final. England have been in these types of, semis and them kind of thing. So that's why I try to figure out why they brought Tuchel there to get them over that hurdle, because that's the hurdle that they couldn't get over. Both in the Euros and World Cup, they couldn't get past a semi-final. They brought in Tuchel just for that reason, and my dog do the exact opposite. Bon Dieu.
But the thing I will ask both of you, right, is you spoke about, okay, Argentina's track record leading up to that semi-final was like amazing comebacks. They came back against Cabo Verde. They came back against who was it? Switzerland.
Well, not came back.
Um,
They just Switzerland equalized and well, they had to fight for it.
Yeah, and then there was another game. I know they were like the king, the Egypt. They came back against
Egypt, yeah,
Egypt.
Egypt, yeah,
You
Egypt.
know, all these teams. And then you say, okay, now if you're England, you have to be aware of that, and that's not something necessarily you have to think tactical. It's just the spirit that they have. They never say that. But also, if you're England, you're looking at your games leading up to the semi-final. You're looking at Norway scoring, sitting, holding, surviving against Haaland, not just Haaland, but Haaland not scoring goals, and Haaland's not playing well, and supporting staff around Odegaard's been playing well in the World Cup, surprisingly. You look at the game against Mexico, in Mexico, against that kind of crowd, and everyone was talking about, Jude having that performance, but also they sat deep a lot for this game in the latter stages, and they survived, and they felt very. I wouldn't say that they wanted to, but they were comfortable. Mexico didn't look like they were necessarily, I don't know. Some people say if they were 10 more minutes, maybe, but they looked like they were comfortable in, especially with Dan Burn and everyone. So two teams kind of did what they've been comfortable and successful with doing, and then now, so it's like, is it really wrong for him to have believed that he could have done it another time, just like Argentina believed that they could have done it another time?
Jovel, Jovel,
Uh,
well, stop it.
I have
Harry?
to play devil's advocate, man. I have
Yes,
to.
I know, but stop it. Because as footballers, we know better than that, my brother. We know better than that. We know when a team is not better than you, we cannot consider Argentina better than England. Not on
Yeah.
paper, not nowhere. Come on, let's be honest.
We
If it
are,
was a case
you know, wrong.
where Argentina were better than England, I would have probably understood. But not that England squad, my brother, with these types of players.
You
Jude
have the
Yeah.
better
running
team.
up and down. And like he sort of lost his technical nose too, because are you telling me you have Hurricane on the field? Okay, you want to defend. You have Hurricane on the field, still doing what?
Yeah.
Morgan Rogers dying on the field.
Har-
The man carrying,
Harry,
you still have the man on the
Har-
field doing what?
Harry Kane was playing centre back, bro. You didn't see that?
Just if that's what you want to do, okay, fine.
Mhm.
Make the necessary changes for you to do just that. You need Hurricane. Hurricane had to do what? No pace, not fit enough to play that entire game. Will not come and he will try and defend, but he will not defend for you. But he will
All
try.
he can all he can
You
do for
can
you is
do
if he gets
one.
the ball, he might be able to pick a pass. That's all he can do for you.
My
But
goodness gracious. Boy,
yeah,
yeah.
Gerald, you spoke about the Mexico game. England were down to 10. They had to defend.
true. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, Norway. Yes, Norway was having a magical tournament. That's fine. But are you seriously telling me that Norway is a better team than England? No.
No. But
England always
you have
England
to say that they took down Brazil. So
was that,
they've been playing good. They took down Brazil, so they were playing good football.
but
Not that
Brazil was
Brazil
good.
was special, but they were playing good football, Norway.
They were playing good football, but you're watching a game on paper and you see England versus Norway. Are you choosing Norway to win the game? Yes or no?
No?
All right. So that's all right. You get to Argentina. You're superior. You are the superior team. You are the better team.
Yeah.
Right? Argentina is Argentina. Yes, we all know that. But you are the better team. You go up 1-0 playing a specific way. And because you figure out it's 1-0 in the 60th minute, by the way,
Yeah.
you decide to go and sit deep, so deep in your half, you could have been in another stadium. That making
So,
no
okay,
sense.
I want to use this to ask a question to both of you based on during your playing time. Have you ever been in a situation where you, on paper, were on the smaller team and then you scored? What's the mentality now? Do you tell yourself, St. Lucia playing against Jamaica, Lucia playing against Mexico, we go 1-0 up? Do you tell yourself now, oh, today's our day, let we just keep on going? Or do you say, all right, we get one, we're probably lucky to get one that wasn't a set piece or a penalty or something, let me hold it. And I'm talking not just for this England game, because again, on paper, I do think England were a better team, but we're looking at, it was almost a story of some of the teams in this tournament, especially the African teams. You see Senegal going up, you see, against, they were playing well against France, couldn't get over the line. They were playing well against, I believe it was Belgium, couldn't get over the line. You've seen it with other African teams in there. What's the mentality for you when you go into a situation where maybe on paper or reputation wise, you might not be the stronger team, but you happen to go 1-0 up. What comes into your mind at that point as a player?
I think sometimes we just have to stick to what we know. Because if we're having our best game, playing without fear or without, any repercussions, we just go happen. Why would you put the pressure on yourself and try to do something differently and knowing that's the only thing that you're set out to do? I say this, right? If
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing, if we're playing a game and we go up 1-0, and it's because I'm getting up on the defender, I am not allowing them to play. I am not allowing the midfield to receive the ball in comfortable positions. I'm not allowing them to make forward passes, pressuring them so that they can only go side to side. We go up 1-0. Why will I allow the midfielder to go and collect the ball in a comfortable position? Make the centre backs play forward passes. Allow them to spread the ball. We do the same thing. If they beat us while we do our best, then that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if they beat us while we allow them to try multiple times, that is a difference. I rather go down fighting than just
Yeah.
stay there and wait for somebody to just demolish me. That's just
Yeah.
my mentality. If it's a case where okay, you're coming at me from the get go, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
every time you get down the field, you get one, you get a shot on target. Then we have to adjust, but not while I'm playing you face to face, man to man. I'm giving you the run of your life for me to score and then retreat and allow you to come at me and allow you to take your best shot. That don't
Yeah.
make no sense.
Yeah. SB, I want to ask you. Obviously, now you're still actively playing, and I believe that maybe most of your best days are behind you. So you're looking maybe possibly going into that management role, or more of a coaching role in football. When you get into it, and I've heard this talk a lot, when people say, okay, I prefer to go down fighting. Looking at some of these teams, and they've you're making a run and you get a goal up in a big World Cup, quarterfinal, round of 16, you possibly can make history. So for some people, just making it is history. Some people going, to the next round is history. Do you think there is more pride or any more value to going down fighting, or you trying to be maybe more pragmatic about it and just like, okay, I get one, let me just sit. If I lose 2-1, sitting is the same as if I lose 2-1, I go out and then I get exposed and they score 2 counterattacks on me. Like, thinking of it from that way, because I understand, we as fans, we want to see people come out, because you saw some of the games where teams just sat and it was just terrible to watch. But you're thinking these teams, maybe with the smaller names on paper, small reputation, thinking that they were training, probably they were expecting to be behind the ball forward. I would not be surprised if England expected to be behind the ball a little more, or defending a little. I would not be surprised if during the days leading up to that game, that Tuchel was like, we will be without the ball a little more. Let's do some defensive work. So where do you see that in your approach of how you go about these games if you were on the other side? Because the player side is one thing. You're excited, you feel in yourself, you want to go forward, second one. The manager side is a different one. It's all about results. That's what, at the end of the day.
So I'm actually not against defending. All right. It's all based on like the game and your opponent. So if the rules were reversed, all right, and Argentina went up 1-0,
Mhm.
I do not think they would have gone deep to defend at all. I think
Sure.
they would have kept the pressure on England, because they knew England would have had to come out and they had to score, because that's knockout football. I mean, for me, I've never been in a situation where, so let's take, for example, the national team. We normally, when we play teams, it's always probably the team is ranked higher than us. So
Yeah.
we go into the game with sort of a defensive mindset already. It's not that we go into play man to man, and if we score, let them go back. It's already us being on the back foot and then trying to play, on the
You're right.
counter. So yeah, I think it's a bit different from a manager standpoint. I'm a very forward thinking person. All
Mhm.
right. And if it was me, I would have never gone so defensive so early. And if I did want to go defensive, I wouldn't have gone so deep. That's my thing. He didn't have to go so deep. It's the
Yeah.
fact that he went basically on the top of his box. He
Yeah,
could have
it's
gone, he could have give them like the half, and as soon as they get on the half, they press.
Yeah.
But not on the area of box, brother. And you have players with quality. Messi's a quality player. You have Enzo. These players are quality players. These players get in the box. All right.
Yeah. I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. So that,
There's
that
a there's a map where the England players' average position was plotted, and like the centre backs were between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box as the average position.
yeah.
that makes sense to you.
You know. So I. That's why I think Tuchel had he played and they were still up 1-0, and it was probably
Mm.
like the 79th, 80th minute, and he wanted to do that.
That
Understood.
would be that'd be a different
Understood.
situation.
More than if they went out, if they still scored after that, then fine. We understand that you at least try to play, but don't
Yeah.
tell me you're not going to play, brother man. That's your approach. So if I'm
60,
a coach,
65th minute. Yeah.
all right. If I am a coach, I personally would have not done that. I would have probably had them jump off a bit and not press as high, but not go so low. You understand?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because of the quality of players I know I have, their strengths aren't defending.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
not sure if you guys saw, but Argentina were actually trying to throw off England's game. They were kicking them
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that had to mean something. England,
Mentally, you should have known you were on
England
top.
should have realized that, hey, they man know that we're good enough to go
To
to
beat
to
them.
to.
Yeah.
So they
Because
trying to throw us off. All
the
that
first three, four
that's what the manager had to also realize. But
Argentina first
I don't.
3 or 4 tackles were yellow card worthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you saw them try the same thing against Spain, and it didn't get to Spain. Didn't throw Spain's game off. They were still trying to tackle Spain. It didn't throw the game off. But final word on this semi-final is: so after this performance, do you think Tuchel should stay or Tuchel should go?
Um,
Um.
honestly,
Go
I
ahead. Go
think
ahead, partner.
honestly, I think they should keep him around. I think he learned from that mistake. It'll be harsh to fire him,
Yeah,
given that he has led. I mean, if you look at the way that they've been playing from it since he took over, they actually tried to play football. Apart from
yeah,
that one game, so I think they should keep him on and just see what he can do with full 2 years to the Euros.
yeah.
So yeah, see what he can do. Give him a chance.
Okay, fair. Uh,
Yeah. Go ahead, Java.
okay, you know, I was just asking, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually have Tuchel rated very highly. I just think that he showed a bit of inexperience, which he really should not because he's been there, done that.
Or
But
fear?
fear, sorry, fear is the correct word. But I don't think it's enough to fire him. No, I think he has more to offer this current England team, and he should still. He should
Yeah,
still.
yeah. I'll say I was, even with the games that England played, I was a bit outside of the Croatia game. I was really impressed with the way they played against Croatia in that opening game. I was like, okay, England will be close to a Spain in this tournament in the way that they move the ball. Other than that, it was. I remember the game against Ghana was just so hard to watch. I was just like, how are they struggling to break down this Ghana squad? So I was very disappointed in what I saw. Because I remember Tuchel from Chelsea with the flying fullbacks and rotations in the middle, and I was just like, with players like Jude and Harry Kane, and even, I mean, a lot of people don't read Declan Rice, but Declan Rice could do a job for you, and just to not get the best out of this team was a creativity and lots of chances was just a little disappointing. But we'll fast forward to the final here in the interest of time, and just like, for me, this final was just one where it it felt a little bit at the beginning like a typical final, teams playing more to not lose than to win, and then Spain kind of started growing into it a lot more, but they had the ball, they weren't creating a ton, and then they started to create, and overall it was just a hard watch. It was almost like everyone was waiting for Spain to score. I never saw Argentina really getting into the game. Um, Do you think it was just a typical final? It was what you expected, or you were expecting a bit more of a fight in that final from Argentina, Fraka?
So let me get the Argentina fun response out the way. That was embarrassing
Yeah.
as a fan of Argentina and as a fan like of football, right? I expected much better from Argentina, as in effort wise,
Mhm.
strategically. I thought they would have come out a little better. I did not expect them to have the ball at all. But the
Right.
showing was one of everyone's going to sit deep and when we get the ball, try to get it to Messi. Fine, it worked for you all tournament. If you watch Spain play against, especially that France game, you would have already known that you would never get on the ball as much. So when you did get on the ball, you were supposed to make it count. I
Mhm.
think Spain was in probably like a training session. Move the ball around, move the ball around. When we get an opening, let's see what we can get. The keeper was making some saves, and then it didn't
Yeah.
help that Argentina lost their centre backs. That made
Italy,
it
yeah,
even
for,
that
for
that
sure.
made it
Yeah.
even worse. But I don't think Argentina did not put the best foot forward in that final. I don't even think that they could have put the best foot forward in that final. They
Yeah.
only got into the game when after Spain scored, Spain surprisingly went into a mid block, and then
Yeah.
that allowed Messi to get on the ball a little more, and then Argentina created about maybe two good chances and a half chance. But it wasn't a typical final. It started just as the England game. Argentina tried to throw Spain off, but Spain was just more prepared for that game, and they executed their game plan to perfection, and that's why they are the world champion.
Yeah. SB, it wasn't an England defensive performance in terms of Argentina chose to sit back. They were forced to sit back. But even when they were forced to sit back, there were times where they got the ball and they couldn't string two passes together. Was that what you expected from the final from them, or you expected that at least they would not have the ball, but when they got it, they would be able to create a few chances? And what was your take on the final in general?
I know Messi was fuming because that man probably remember him, playing for Barca, doing that to teams. I know that one was fuming.
Yeah, taste of his own medicine.
I'm glad you know that. But yeah, after seeing what Spain did to France, before I go ahead with that, what I will say, I think England would have given Spain a bit more of a challenge than
For
I
sure,
think so
Argentina
too.
did.
Yeah.
most definitely,
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, but I think it's just another case of Spain versus France, but with a step up. To have a team not take a shot on target in a
At all.
Crazy.
final, and that hasn't been done for what I think this starts at 6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was insane. That was basically men against the boys.
Yeah.
And Spain were actually the boys in
The
terms of
boys, yeah, that's the thing with the two
yeah.
teenagers.
In the eighth,
Spain, and that's my thing with Spain. Spain, it's not like Spain had to come prepared for Argentina. Argentina had to come prepared for Spain. Because no matter who Spain played, that's what you get from Spain.
Yeah.
That's what you get. So I think it was a bit easier for them. And like I said, Spain do not have, there's no one player for Spain. I mean, you could say Yamin, but there's no one
Yeah,
player.
but he didn't even have the best tournament himself, and they still won.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you still find, I think Spain only conceded what, one goal in
one
tournament?
goal, one goal
One
against
goal.
goal.
Yeah.
Belgium.
So
Yeah.
that's a testament to not just their defense working, but them as soon as they lose the ball, they winning it back. It really gave Barca 2010. You know when Barca lost the ball and Barca was just back on it.
Swarming you. Yeah.
5 seconds or
They
less.
didn't give you a chance to play like at all. And Rodri, you know, I don't rate Rodri. I think they have Rodri a little too
You can start
high.
rating him next season. You can
Oh,
start
no,
rating
no.
him next season.
I rate Rodri. It's just that I think that they have him a little too high, But
Yeah.
that was a masterclass from Rodri. Must say.
Yeah.
That was Rodri controlling entire midfield, and he made it look so easy. Even when they would knock him around, even when they would, he stuck to the task and he made it happen. So that was very impressive from him. And I think the coach as well needs a lot of kudos because he prepared that team under the radar. Because remember, Spain didn't really come into that as any of our favorites.
Yeah, same. Yeah, for
And
sure.
most of the pundits that I've watched, they didn't have Spain up there to win.
Just because
Argentina,
they're
France,
lacking
yeah.
firepower.
Yeah,
So I think he used that um kind of underdog vibe to take his time to prepare his team, and I think he did a very good job, wonderful job.
yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, I think, Spain will deserved winners for sure. I don't think, and they played the
Definitely.
best football, best defensive record, good attacking. You can just imagine Spain with a top class striker that can take chances, as opposed to Ferran and Oyarzabal, and they would be a top team. But I want you to think, as we go, because we've seen this before. We've seen top teams fall. We've seen Spain win it in 2010 and then get embarrassed by the Dutch in 2014. We've seen Argentina, win it in like the last one. Now Spain embarrassing them. We've seen teams that's happened to teams many times before. What from you watching now? We've seen Spain for the world. What can you possibly, if any, see that a weakness of theirs be?
Complacency,
You,
because
you
I
think
think they
after the
have,
World Cup, that's the pinnacle for them. They're done.
yeah, you need to take the foot because now you got the target on your back. You're not
Yeah,
hunting, you're the hunted. It's a different ball game when your people are actually coming out to get at you. Um, but I don't think this team is gonna win. And like I told you, I see them competing very highly in the next Euros and the next World Cup. So that's my
yeah.
that's my that's my ceiling for them.
Okay, SB, what do you think is the a possible weakness you can see in Spain?
Yeah, just what I mean, Fraga said. Complacency and them not being consistent. You can put in injuries there too, or just
Yeah,
like the normal, just players not being on form and that type of thing. But I don't really want to mention that because you cannot be on form for your club and go and play for Spain just because of their style, and you can look like you've been in form for the
yeah,
entire.
true.
So I think what he said, like injuries, complacency if they're not consistent, and yeah, but for that Spain team, I think right now the sky's the limit, and they've shown that they can beat, and not just beat, they can convincingly beat the top teams. So yeah.
Yeah. So just to put a wrap up on our World Cup talk, I also want you guys to just name one team that impressed you during this World Cup and one team that just thoroughly disappointed you during the World Cup. I'll start with you, Fraka.
Probably, probably disappointed by Germany team.
You're in the dog.
Bro, I expected so much more from Germany, but then again,
Yeah,
you can't be right most of the times. You be like that
yeah,
sometimes.
it's true.
Um, the most impressive, Norway. Hats off to Norway. Norway played the best every single game. They were defeated on a controversial goal. England was the better team in the game, but I still think that they should have reviewed that goal. But it's okay. So my disappointment was my dark horse, and then I was very impressed with how Norway stepped in and showed out in like what the first World Cup in how many years, forever.
Yeah, like 40 or
Yeah,
something.
that
Yeah,
that was great. That was some great stuff.
yeah. SP, what about you? What team thoroughly impressed you and thoroughly disappointed you?
Um, so for the team that impressed me the most, I would have to say Spain, because Spain was just a class above the rest. Anytime you can be a class above the rest in a tournament like the World Cup, I mean, you have to get your kudos at the end of the day. So yeah, Spain. I have two teams who disappointed me very much. I mean, obviously Brazil, but the two teams that really like I expected more from them, France and Portugal, more or less Portugal. I think Portugal had way too much talent on that, and the fact that most of the players had a wonderful season. Nuno Gomes, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes. These play, I mean, come on, that was very disappointing. I when I say what? I mean, and they're trying to blame it on. I mean, they would have obviously blame it on CR7, but you can't have a team like Portugal and blame one man. Come on, at the end of
Yeah,
the day,
true.
that was very disappointing.
But if you blaming one man, the blame has to go to the coach for not getting
Yeah.
his team ready to perform. But that was horrible. And I
Yeah.
think I saw Portugal play a couple of games and they could barely create a chance. So there's that.
That was very hard to watch.
Yeah.
so
It was.
so
It
I don't
was.
even know.
And I don't know where they go from there. You know, new coach. Yeah,
Colombia,
go ahead, Farah.
Colombia, Colombia was disappointing too. I don't know what that was. Why Colombia got to the knockout
Yeah,
stages?
who
Like
knocked them out? Switzerland, no?
yes,
Yeah. It was yeah,
I
I
had I
expected them
had
to go a little
Colombia
further.
knocking out Argentina in the quarterfinals. Remember?
Yeah, because they played them in the Copa America final
Yeah,
last time.
I had Colombia knocking out Argentina in the quarterfinals, and then they couldn't even get by.
Yeah. I think for me, the most disappointing team was definitely my dark horse. I was shocked to watch Ecuador play, just like
Bro,
couldn't
you were
string a
confused.
pass together.
You couldn't have known that because I said you wanted to see Colombia and you said Ecuador. We will charge that to the game.
All right, we charge it to the game. We charge it to the game.
Yeah,
Fair.
we charge that
But
to the game.
yeah, I feel I was trying to be too smart and that ended up backfiring on me. So that is what you get. But the team that really impressed me, honestly, was England. Can you see how Portugal played and how Portugal disappointed people? That's what I expected from England. I expected England to go into this tournament with the hype, win their first game, get everybody on board, and then break everybody hat by going out in the round of 16 or a quarterfinal, something like that. And then I saw Jude playing, man. Jude is like, I don't know, Jude. I'm very mixed when it comes to Jude because I sent you that Gyökeres video when it comes to him training and how he's looking like a fridge trying to take a first touch and he just bouncing off his foot and you have to try and finish and everything. When I see Jude sometimes in training, I see there was a clip of him and Mbappe just playing long passes to each other, just almost like a trampoline touch, but the guy, and then sometimes he'll do that, and you'll see like, especially when when he's having a bad game, he's having a really bad game. He can't get into it, ball off his foot, tackling all around, always on the ground. But when this guy is playing, man, like he played in the World Cup, this guy is unbelievable, man. He's like he's strong, he's fast, he can dribble, he can tackle, he can win headers, he can score headers, he can right foot, left foot. He can score from outside the box. He like this guy is just everything you would want as a coach or somebody playing alongside you. And I was just the way he kind of like I know Harry Kane will get the plaudits and stuff, but actually now I don't even know if Harry Kane will get the plaudits. I think Jude will get the plaudits because he was just fantastic. And England for me like really impressed me. Besides that game against Argentina, but I did not expect England to go that far. So I was very happy with
So England
England,
impressed
honestly.
you because you wanted them to go out in the round of 16 and they went out.
Well, yeah.
And they said, "Right." But I give you one. But I mean, yeah, I mean, your ceiling was low and they exceeded it. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, my expectations for England were very low. I was expecting like what happened in Portugal, you know, like players not being able to find each other and all that. And even if they, because Portugal got to what, quarterfinal, round of 16? Quarterfinal. Who put Portugal out? I can't remember. But wherever Portugal got, that's what I was expecting. But the same way Portugal got there, but they were never really impressive. Like I don't think there was one game where people were like, yeah, Portugal is here.
Of course,
You
against
know,
Uzbek. Of course, against Uzbek.
Uzbekistan, yeah, Ronaldo was back, you know. I'm back. But even then,
Mm.
like that's how I expected England. Like they'll win, but everyone would be like, I'm not sure, and I wasn't impressed. And then eventually they go out, and everyone's like, yeah. But that was my take on the thing. So again, that's how we wrap up on the World Cup stuff. I just want to, with we have a few minutes left. I just want to quickly just talk about some of these transfers we've seen. We've seen some crazy money already being spent in the transfer market so far. And I just wanted to get your guys' take on like Is this what we have to expect now in world football with these transfers of Bakalo for 170 and Diomande for 100 and Elliot Anderson for 130? Is this where we're seeing it? Or do we think that's the best way for some of these clubs to be going about their business, SB?
Yeah, well, if it's one thing about me, I like to tell man how to spend their money. So, nah, but
No pocket watching.
right. I've like it's just very ridiculous. I mean, these most of these players aren't even proven. Most of these players just come from like a one-off season where they were, they were good.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. Fraka, and as SB spoke about, usually after a big tournament like a World Cup or Copa America, Euros, you see people coming out with big cash for these players. In this tournament, we saw most of the stars shining. So there wasn't a breakout star like a James coming out. Which star did you think probably deserves a big move from the World Cup
Messi.
for big money? Back to Europe to bring him back to Europe.
Like you said, this World Cup was like one of the few times I think that it was the World Cup for the stars.
Yeah,
There was nothing, no come up in this World Cup. We got this. They were like, no, don't worry, my guys, we got this, we got this, we got this. People, um, Haaland actually, for people like for casuals, like introduced himself to the
yeah,
international scene. For like people like us that watch football week in, week out, we know what Haaland is, we know who Haaland is.
yeah,
Jude, people fell in love with Jude. Like just the way that he approaches the game and plays the game. Everybody was wondering, oh, how would Messi do at 29 years old? He just showed you.
yeah.
I, don't- the people, the players to watch was more of a disappointment more than anything. You
Okay.
had the Diamandes that everybody was so hyped out. I don't think, I don't know what that was. Um, all three of us was huge and Olisi. He disappeared after the group stage.
And he couldn't score a goal.
So like it was more of these things going about, like people not showing up rather than standing out. Um, Bruno Fernandez, I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
So
He almost
like
brought down his legacy with that tournament.
yeah, so like I don't even know. I cannot sit here and pinpoint out someone who we did not expect to play well that played well. We had more
Yeah.
disappointments rather than showing up. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. SB, is there anyone from the World Cup tournament you think that besides the stars that impress you and probably deserves a move to a big team? Yeah, it's sure. Yeah, Kukare, yeah, yeah.
There you go.
He was
Yes.
he was he was very impressive, very
Yes. Oh,
impressive.
yes. Okay. All right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think of play. The only player I was thinking of because I remember from watching him a couple games for Colombia was the center back, um, Lukumi. But then I just looked him up and he's already 28 years old, so it's rough. But he was very impressive for me in the games that he played. But I don't think many clubs will who splash big cash for that age. But yeah, I think other players probably sung their value. Like you talked about Bruno Fernandes. I think of Jamal Musiala. I was expecting a big tournament. Just very, very disappointed in the way the whole Germany team played, but especially him. I kind of expected to be disappointed by Florian Wirtz as well. But so many players just underwhelming in
Wow,
this. But
that's how you really feel.
Nah, I was so glad we didn't go in for Verts because he just never looked like he looked like a freestyle baller, like a man you can put on YouTube and them kind of things. But um yeah, so again, that's it for our World Cup talk. Really happy with it. What's to come is that, the teams are now on their preseason tours all over the world. We have, cities going to Hong Kong. I know Spurs is in Australia. I think Chelsea's in Australia as well.
Yeah,
So lots of teams all over the world. So we will reconvene the week before the start of the Premier League season to discuss. After that we'll have a chance to see the Community Shield, and then talk about maybe the rest of the transfers that will be happening, and then looking forward to the season. But I want to thank the guys for coming out and discussing this. I know this has been long awaited, so we apologize. The summer is a busy schedule for us both, but thank you. Please leave your thoughts, your comments, likes and subscribe and share the content and let us know what you think. So thank you once again. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate the guys for coming out, and have a good night.